back in the previous episode, Velaryon had visited, or during his visit to the council, he spoke with Viserys after having his request for military support being rejected, and then also having his marriage proposal to his daughter being rejected, decided to go and seek out Daemon. And with that, put the idea in Daemon's head that he could redeem himself, in a sense, by getting involved in this situation in the Stepstones. Now, several years later, things are not really going according to plan. Never mind that Daemon has his dragon. When the third episode opens, it's not necessarily gruesome scene, but just a very bleak landscape, where there's quite a bit of fighting going on and whatnot. But even with his dragon, Daemon might have bitten off a bit more than he can chew. And so the fighting in the Stepstones is still taking place. And I'm not sure if he's a messenger or who he is exactly, but someone comes to deliver an update to the series about what's going on, that things are, there's some problems brewing in the Stepstones. And Viserys kind of brushes him off. This is another hot topic at court, the activities in the Stepstones. There's some conversation about, well, what should be done? And really there's a call for Viserys to send resources, to send reinforcements. But as is expressed, that never mind that Daemon is a Targaryen, he got himself involved in this fighting. It shouldn't even really be called a war because it wasn't really sanctioned by Viserys. Velaryon and Daemon took it upon themselves to push the issue there when Viserys had made it pretty clear that he didn't want to get involved in a war in Stepstones. And so now, this is another problem that's brewing, where it's like, what's the best course forward? Given that Daemon and, Velaryon and whatnot got involved in this fighting there, but the men are losing confidence in Daemon's abilities. So that's a problem. Somewhat politically and as a diplomat of sorts, that for Viserys to get involved at this point in a war that he did not declare, but which Daemon and Velaryon took it upon themselves to get involved with, it could make him look like a weak ruler, right? Because it's like they've forced his hand to go back on what he said he didn't want to do, right? He didn't declare war. He really shouldn't feel compelled to fight in this war. There's a pretty cool scene where you see like 3 ships sailing by, and you see these like old school rocket launcher situations, because you see them coming from far away, and they arch, and you can see that they're aiming for the ships. And I thought that setup was actually quite interesting. Daemon and company have been fighting for a while now. They reach a point where it's kind of like make or break. Daemon has dragon, but it hasn't been of any use thus far. The reason being that the people fighting on behalf of the Crabfeeder and the Stepstones, whenever there's like the least little sign of trouble, they retreat back into these caves that are carved into the local mountains, making it nearly impossible for the dragons to try to catch them or to maim or otherwise kill them or wherever. And so they have to come up with a ploy. Really, they need someone to serve as bait to draw these individuals out of the caves long enough that they can be attacked. But then things change. Daemon receives a letter from Viserys stating that he will indeed take up the fight by sending reinforcements. Before he can do so, Daemon and company end up attacking the Crabfeeder. The sticking point was, well, who would be so foolish as to volunteer for such a job? And Daemon is the one to do it. The reason being, I think that Daemon's goal in going into this war was to gain some glory for himself, to redeem himself in a sense. And with Viserys sending reinforcements, it can end up making it look like the war was won because of Viserys' intervention, rather than it being Daemon's. Thanks for tuning in. To ensure you don't miss any episodes, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, go ahead and click the thumbs up button if you like what you saw, and go ahead and share it on social media.